Good morning, friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today I have got my best gardening buddy with me. We have got Mimi here. We are going to be working in the garden today. It is a nice, cool, cloudy November day here. We're supposed to get a couple of days of rain, so today we are going to put some more anemones and ranunculus corms in the ground. Y'all, I call this gardener's amnesia. Don't know if I'm the only one that suffers from this, but I order bulbs or corms or bare roots or whatever it may be in late spring, early summer, completely forget about it until the fall, and then they send it to me and I'm like, oh, surprise, more. So that was the case with my order from Eden Brothers. You know that I'm a huge fan of their seeds, their corms, everything, because they just perform great. So what we are doing is I have two different sets of blends from Eden Brothers. Mimi is working on one ranunculus blend, and I am going to be planting another blend that has anemones and ranunculuses in there. So where we are, of course, is here along the back path from the driveway around to the patio. Mimi is going to be putting let me make sure I get the name right. This is just the ranunculus blend of pinks and purples, lavenders, whites. This is the Secret Garden Mix. So you can see we're adding in some nice organic matter, right? This is an annual bed, and so we want to add back nutrition. So she is working that in right now. And for those of you that are not familiar with ranunculus corms, here we go. They remind me of little octopuses, right? So you have to soak them for 2 to 3 hours to kind of rehydrate them. And they're so stinking easy. Basically, you put the tentacles down, right? So the pointy side goes down, the flat side comes up, and you only have to put them about, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 2 inches in the ground. So literally, she's just gonna pull a little hole and she's gonna plop it in. And yep, that's exactly right. She's such a good little demonstrator. And there were 20 in a box, and I think I've got like, oh, kisses, 5 or 6 boxes of that one. So we've got basically 120. So that will take up this whole area. Now, if you are a faithful watcher of Creekside, you know that I had kind of forgotten about this, and I was planning on putting tulips in these 2 areas. So that just means that the tulips are going to go in other areas in the backyard. So this year we're doing Shocks and Struts blend. It is a beautiful pink blend from our friends at Color Blends. So they will not go in here per se. I might have some room where I'm planting mine, but where Mimi's going to be, we won't have any in there, but they'll be all around. So Mimi is doing that, and then I'm going to be working in the bed here in front of the David Austins. I need to come in here and weed first. Mimi already weeded hers. It's not bad. It's just a couple little weeds. If you see these guys, y'all, these are little miniature jonquils. They're already sprouting. And in fact, back here behind the fountain, I don't know if you can see right there where the hose is, I have jonquils coming up. It's crazy. So yes, there are weeds underneath the roses. I'm not going to tackle those today. I'm being very focused. We're just going to be working here on the front side right where Brenna is. But let's just take a moment to appreciate the poet's wife. Oh my gosh, y'all, look at that. This is a David Austin rose. The poet's wife smells divine and delicious, and she is blooming and is gorgeous. So there you go. What I'm going to be planting is the mix over here that Brenna loves to go into. This is Moments in Time. So like I said, it has ranunculuses in here. Again, those are the little octopuses. And I have anemones. Anemones look more like little acorns. Again, pointy side goes down, flat side comes up. And I can just mix them and just throw them in there. And then there you go. I had planted some anemones earlier, if you remember that, and y'all, they are already coming up. It is crazy. I walked around to the front the other day to take a picture of the tea olive, and I was like, oh my gosh, they had already sprouted. So those are sprouting, and the ones that I planted up on Hydrangea Hill with the poppies, those have already sprouted. So if you're doing anemones and ranunculuses, basically if you're in zones like 7B, so that's zone 7B, is you're right on the border or warmer, you need to plant them in the fall. Now, if you are zone 7A, 7B, that kind of area, and colder, you want to plant them in the spring. Last year I did a group in the fall out front. They were unbelievable and they were gorgeous. I did some back here in the spring. They were a dud. So I am definitely one that needs to plant them in the fall. These, of course, are classic early spring flowers. They make amazing cut flowers. They're gorgeous. They come in all these colors. They are just so stunning and so romantic and gorgeous and beautiful. And why not just go ahead and add them? For me, they will be perennials, so they will come back year after year. The downside of me planting them in these two beds is that I do put summer annuals in here, so when I pull those summer annuals out at the end of the fall, I may accidentally pull out some of the corms. We're just going to kind of play around with that. Right now, I don't have perennial beds that are ready to take on these guys, so we're going to put them here where they're close to the back patio. We can see them, we can enjoy them, and they are going to be stunning. So Mimi's already ahead of me, so I need to catch up with her, get this bed weeded, put down some of the great organic material, and then get these babies in the ground. Once we finish this, we're going to head over to the cottage garden and add some perennials to that space. And so we're just going to kind of spend a nice, cool, breezy, this little rainy morning here together in the garden with Mimi. All right, my friends, so Mimi and I have got all of the anemones and ranunculuses planted in the flower beds. We got some things cleaned up. So I'm just kind of walk you through. You saw us planting those sweet little corms. Y'all, they're going to be fabulous, fabulous. I can't wait till spring. Well, I can't wait till spring. I'm excited to see them in the spring, shall I say that. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but what I did, especially in my bed, is while the soil that the compost soil that we added takes up a large portion of the bed, I really tried to concentrate on planting those corms along that kind of like from light to light and in that path, because remember, the roses will be cut back completely and just beginning to flush out with some new growth when the anemones are blooming, the ranunculuses are blooming, and I'll have room to put tulips. So I think what I can do is come in here and behind where the anemones are planted, right here in the back, is do a row of the shocks and struts tulips. So that will be really nice. So that was one reason why I didn't push them too far out, and I wanted to have a nice concentration of those plants right here in the front. So that is the deal with that. As far as roses go, I don't really prune my roses hard until you start to see new growth in like January, late January for me. Now I might come in here and kind of clean up right here on the edge, but other than that, yeah, so they're good. They can just bloom and be fine. The fountain we turned off so that we wouldn't get wet and get sprinkled, and then it does need to have a little cleaning. So got a little algae growth in there, so I just went ahead and drained it. I'll give it a quick little scrub, refill it back up, and she'll be good to go. Now, one thing that I did not show you is I cut back 2 of my summerific lilac crush hibiscus. So what we have here is in this area, and it might be better to see it from this way to give it a bit of perspective, right? So this is where Mimi put her ranunculus blend all through here, so they're good. I don't think we're gonna have any room to put tulips here, which is totally fine because they're gonna be in lots of other places. So her ranunculuses are here. We have 4 gardenias because you know they're my all-time favorite flower. So this is the Chuck Hayes gardenia right here that does really, really well. And then I have a beautiful 9 bark that used to be Mimi's, and she gave it to me. This thing is as tough as nails, y'all, because it lived probably for like a year, year and a half in a container that had been it was transplanted from her garden, put into a container, lived a year, year and a half in a container. Then we put it here, and so tough as nails, 9 bark. Not exactly sure on what variety it is. It doesn't matter. I love it. Mama gave it to me, so there you go. Because of that, and because of the sentimental value with that this came from Mama's garden, between the gardenias and the 9 bark, those are the ones that stay. They're the most important ones. And then a couple of years ago, when Lilac Crush was coming out, our friends at Proven Winners sent us 3, and not knowing that they were going to love this area as much as they do, I planted all 3 right here. So you can see there's the 1, obviously the 2, and then right here is the 3rd one. And while they're stunning and gorgeous in the summertime, they are huge. And to have 3 of them in this small of a space is way too many. So I've been talking to Jerry about this, like in the summer and this season, that I think I want to remove 2. And he was like, well, I just don't know how it's going to look. So that's why I went ahead and cut back 2 so we could see what it would look like generally, just to have the 1. And for sure, that's what we're going to do, because again, it's just too small of a space to have these 3 vigorous perennials here, because this one was coming way over into the path, and you lost half the path. It was taking over this gardenia. You can see how significantly smaller this gardenia is compared to this one, and that's because the Lilac Crush was just coming over and not getting the sun. So gardenia is more important to me than the hibiscus. And then of course the 9 bark. So if you can see, that 9 bark has gorgeous growth on this side because it was getting all the sun, and it's got basically a hole right here because of this hibiscus. And then coming down here on the other side, where this pile of leaves is, that's where that other hibiscus is. But you can see, like with my my spirea, right, it's kind of lopsided there, and then of course the 9 bark on this side is a little lopsided. I don't know if y'all can see, but there is the sweetest little bird that she has been hanging out in the spireas, and she was with me. It's really hard to see, but she's a little finch of some kind, but she's down here. I'm telling you what, y'all, if you're not birders, this is completely squirrel. You need to get a feeder, right, for the fall and the winter, especially if you have, you're covered up in snow, or you can't get out a lot, or it's too cold. Y'all, get a bird feeder. Get a great bird blend. I love using stuff from Wild Birds Unlimited, but go to, whoever has bird seed wherever you are. It is the most enjoyment. Put it out near a window where you can look out. It's great. So I digress. I'm all about the whole scape of the garden here. So yeah, anyway, back to my point. Lilac Crush, this one can stay and it will fill out and be really pretty, but we'll come out before next spring. These 2 are going to come out and get moved. And I was talking to Mama about it, and she was like, Jenny, that is a beast. How in the world are you going to get those out? And I was like, Mama, it's a little thing called an excavator. We're going to come in here and just scoop them out and then move them somewhere else, because this is just too much for this space. Then as far as the rest of it, Mama was going ahead and helping me get some weeds up, because dear heavens, the weeds are prolific. We are going to clean up the forest pansy bed. I have a couple remaining leaves on the forest pansy to fall, and then we will come in here and clean up. But let me tell you, that leaf litter in here is thick. And so we'll get that cleaned up. And then the generous gardener, y'all, dear heavens, she is a beast. She got way out of control, that I didn't keep her contained. And so, yeah. You know what? There are no such thing as perfect gardens, but there are perfect moments and there are perfect sections. So we're going to focus on the beauty that is going to come in the spring. This is tomorrow's problem. That is not today's problem. We'll worry about that on another day. But anyway, so now what we're going to do is we are going to go dump our debris, because we have got the back of the John Deere is completely full of plant debris. So we're going to go do that, pick up some perennials, and then we're going to meet you back here at the cottage garden, because we're going to get some perennials in the cottage garden because we're going to get a couple days of rain. So it'll be perfect timing to get those in the ground. Mimi and I got the perennials placed. She is off to have lunch because it is lunchtime, and I'm just going to go ahead and press on forward and get these babies in the ground. So let me just walk you through right quick and explain to you what plants we're using and the placement and kind of our thinking behind everything. Of course, we were here just not too long ago where we completely gutted the cottage garden, put the shrubs back in that we wanted to have in here, because we want to have year-end interest. And the idea, of course, is that the cottage garden beds that have existed here for years now tie in to the cottage garden extension. So that is kind of the thought process on that. So let's just walk you through. When we were here pulling plants out the other day, week, whatever that was, we had the luminary ultraviolet phlox. So we actually have 2 of those. So we're going to put that one back here, because the idea is, you know, the irrigation line that Jerry accidentally ripped up runs right through here. We put Babe on top of the irrigation line so that we would always remember and not to plant anything past this wall, because as long as we're to the left of the wall, we're fine. If we start to go to the right, we run into problems. So here we'll have kind of a bit of a line between the Roman candle, the luminary ultraviolet, and then the lemon meringue baptisia. So that's the idea on that. Plus, we want to keep things relatively on the shorter side. The phlox is going to be some of the taller, and so that just kind of blends in, and so we'll have some height on this side. Then we have the brand new, these are the white Stokes asters from Proven Winners, and so this one is, the series is called Totally Stoked, and this is white caps. Stokes asters, of course, are a full sun native perennial, very vigorous, y'all. Like the roots on these guys, and so I'm gonna have to do a little working to get them all cleaned up and broken up here. So the spacing is, as far as the height, is about 2 feet tall, and we put these 3 pretty close together because ultimately I want this to be a big, look like one huge mass of the same plant right here. So we've got those 3. And then we also have 2 back on the other side. Now, the 2 little daylilies, because if you're familiar with this bed, you know that we had a lot of the Proven Winner daylilies in these 2 beds, and they were gorgeous, right? But they were just they were taking over the bed with all of their foliage, and so we just were like, nope. So we pulled those out, moved those to a different location. The ones that we did keep were the Peony Shalom Display Daylily. This was from Proven Winners. They have since discontinued the plant, and so it's no longer available. I love this plant because one is nice and short. It is a beautiful peach color, and it is a double daylily. Most people, when they see it, they're like, what is that? Because it doesn't look like a daylily that you think of. So we pulled, there was already 2 clumps in each bed. We pulled those clumps out, and we're basically putting them back basically where they were the first time. So you can see those 2 clumps right here. Those are the Shalom Peony Display. Then we have, beside the birdhouse, these are some foxgloves that my sweet friend Tina gave me. Now, they are in a Proven Winner cup but they are not Proven Winners. So as most gardeners do, they save their containers, right? And then when they use those for transplants or when you start seeds, so they're recycling the pot. That's what Tina did. So please don't get confused. This is not a Proven Winner plant. This is from my sweet friend Tina. So look Is that not gorgeous? Absolutely beautiful. I forget what the name is, y'all. Maybe she has a tag in here, but she could tell me what they are. But these three are the same. We decided to put these in a straight line. They're a diagonal, but they're gonna be fun. So they're gonna give us some height right here and gorgeous blooms. And so thank you, Tina, for my sweet foxgloves. I'm not gonna say that, you know, you gave them to me in the spring and they're still in their containers, but hey, they're getting in the ground. That's all that matters. And then behind the foxgloves, you can see we have a peony. Now this peony, and I have another one. Originally, before we did all the renovation, remember we had little limes right up here at the top. Those peonies were in that area up there. So we pulled them out. They've been hanging out in a container for however long that's been, however many months that is. But they're nice and alive because look, you can see those red eyes right here. So they're already starting to sprout. So we're gonna get these in the ground. And basically I'm gonna bury them to right here, right? So just to bury those eyes under the ground. So we've got one here. I've got to find the tag. It is a stunning, deep, like hot pink, almost reddish kind of color. So we've got one here, and then we have some of the new, these are the penstemons. This is the Bejeweled series from Proven Winners. These are rose rhinestones. So again, we're putting them in a clump of 4 because that's how many I have. So we're putting them in a clump so they will grow and look like one massive plant and be a gorgeous show. So this is 14 to 16 inches tall. Here, we'll go to this tag. 14 to 16 inches tall, of course, full sun. And this is, the spacing is about 20 to 24. So you can see I've spaced them closer than that because again, I want them to grow as one massive plant. But these will have deep rose pink tubular flowers that the hummingbirds love, long blooming, and it has native roots in the Southwest. So needs full sun and well-drained soil, which will be perfect here on the slope. So that takes care of this bed. We'll move on over to its neighbor, and I say that these beds, I've always said that these two flower beds, they are they're cousins. They're not identical twins, or you could say they're sisters, but they're not identical twins. They have plants that repeat, but they're not exactly planted the same. So here we go. We have got the same kind of peony right here. The clump fell apart in 2. So we've got the peony here as the same peony that is up there. Then here we have the other 2 white Stokes asters. So again, repeating that, we've got 2 whites here and we've got 3 whites over there. So we've got those same plants repeated. In that same family is the blue Stokes asters. And so these guys, you can see they're a little limpy. They were in the original Cottage Garden. We pulled them out, but I wanted to put them back in. So we did the 3. These are beautiful, like a sky blue. They're gorgeous. So these blue right here. Then we have 2 more of the daylilies, right? So 2 more of the same peony display daylilies. And then I only had 1 of the pink pearls penstemons. So where we had rose rhinestones, this is pink pearls, and pink pearls is going to be taller than the rose rhinestones. So we've got 1 of those, which will be a really nice, pretty display. You'll have this beautiful blue, then you have the pink here, and then there is the other phlox, that ultraviolet phlox. So trying to take some of those same plants, right, and then repeat them throughout the bed so that your eye flows, because you have the boxwoods that repeat, you've got the firelight tidbit hydrangea that repeats through here. So just trying to get it all to go together. Not matchy-matchy, but they blend together and it looks like one continuous bed. What I can do also, I won't do it now, I don't have the plants, is that I can take more of the echinacea that I have here, this beautiful fuchsia echinacea, and then next, like late spring, if I have some more, then I could dot some of those in here, and or even the black-eyed Susans. So to bring those through and to tie all of this in together. So what I am going to do is I am going to grab my bag of Biotone starter fertilizer. always use that. And today I think I'm going to use the Jenny's Edition 7-inch auger. I've been, of course, using the 5-inch for, oh gosh, what, a long time now. And then we've got the 9-inch. I've been using that for my shrubs. Haven't used the 7-inch on camera yet, so we'll use the 7-inch Jenny's Edition auger. Those are now available on the website. And so we're going to use that, get these babies planted, and then get them watered in. We're supposed to get some rain for the next couple of days, so that's why I was trying to hurry up and get these in the ground so they can get a nice soaking. But of course, I will go ahead and shoot them with some water, especially the ones that already got ripped out of the ground. They're a little rough looking, but they'll be fine. That's the great thing about perennials. Nice strong root system, they'll be okay. So let's get to work. Ta-da! Today's project is complete. I am one happy gardener and everything looks great here in the cottage gardens with those new perennials added. Not much different than what I showed you, other than they're just planted. Everybody is watered. Of course, this morning it was kind of cloudy and cool. It was actually kind of drizzling a little bit. And then, you know, once you start planting, you know, the sun comes out and we all kind of freak out a little bit. But everybody is in, like I said, they're watered. Everybody got biotone, got that nice mulch around them. So everybody should be nice and happy. And basically, I am literally done with these beds this fall and winter. The next thing that I will do is, yeah, I guess in the spring when we go to add our annuals, our summer annuals. If there are some perennials that I want to add, I certainly can do that. Like that echinacea, the fuchsia is bright. I can bring some of those over and add them in if I want to kind of continue the continuity of the beds, or I could just do something completely different. Proven Winners always comes out with new perennials every single year. So there may be some that fit perfectly in here. And of course, I will have some of my annuals that I always love. They too shall be in here. But it's just kind of a nice way to have this garden to be kind of neat and tidy. At the time in the spring when I add those new plants, I will go ahead and hook up the irrigation. I didn't do it. You can still probably see the tube that's right there on the corner of the wall hanging over. That's where it'll tie into, and we'll just lay that drip tubing in there. But I mean, you know, it's pretty cut and dry right now because now all can change with the forecast. But according to the forecast for the next 2 weeks, we're supposed to have good chances of rain, which is what historically we do here in the fall and the winter. And then of course having that clay soil, once it does get wet, having a nice layer of mulch on it, it really holds that moisture. So I'm not gonna have to be out here watering very much. When you have those newly planted plants, whether it's a tree, a shrub, perennial, or an annual. Your first 2 weeks, I would say, are your most critical that you want to watch your water. Example would be like the steps up there, right? So we planted all those little perennials up there, the ground covers. For the first 2 weeks, I was having to go in there and water with the hose because they were just drooping. It was so hot. I haven't watered those in probably 3 weeks. Their roots have gotten established, they're finding their own water, and they're very happy. So that's just, the first 2 weeks are the most critical. Watch them. When they get droopy, that means that they need the water. Especially if they droop and they don't recover by the next morning, definitely give them water. But that, again, great thing about perennials, strong root system. And as long as your roots are strong and healthy, don't worry too much, especially in November, what your top growth looks like, because those looks can be deceiving, and we're thinking about the roots and having nice, strong, happy roots. But it has been a great day in the garden. Started out with Mimi helping me and got those anemones and ranunculuses going, and yeah, carry on, my friends. Pull out anything that's old and yucky. Weeding is a 24/7, 365 kind of job around here. And yeah, just have fun in your garden. If you're able to get out and do something, do a little something, be productive, feel good. Get a bird feeder. I'm telling you, get a bird feeder, put some feed in there, and you will enjoy it. I promise you, you will. Y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.